to expand as the education broadened.
Right, but let me ask you, like I ask many people, when you went to church, did you find yourself, if you were trying to learn sincerely about your religion, but did you find yourself with some questions at that time?
Enough questions that when I asked, it led me to Islam.
Right, right. And so, I mean, at what time, what age was it when you accepted Islam?
I converted to Islam when I was 18 years old.
When you were 18 years old. And what was the reaction of your family at that time when you became Muslim?
My parents are my greatest supporters.
All right.
We were never raised to be Baptists. We were raised to understand that God is greater than me. So love Allah, serve Allah. So I was never in my spiritual education from my family ever obligated to be what they were. Religion in my parents' mind is not inherited.
And you think from your example and the way you carry yourself, your family understand Islam from seeing you?
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Now, let me ask you this about the position of Navy chaplain. Now, you said you were in the first Gulf War. And tell me where the genesis was for this position, because these positions in the armed forces are relatively new compared to the Christian chaplain.
First chaplain is Abdul Rashid Muhammad, United States Army, commissioned December 1993.
Right.
10 years prior to his commission, Muslims had been trying for that long, for a decade, to get imams into the corps of the various armed services of the United States of America. The first Gulf War, the argument against that was that numbers did not support such inclusion into the corps itself. The first Gulf War evidenced that there were hundreds, if not thousands, of Muslims serving in the United States Armed Forces. Those numbers certainly justified having imams entering into the corps.
Right. And when did the Navy decide, or did the Muslims pressure the Navy to?
I'm not going to say the Muslims' tenacity, the Muslims' conviction, and the Muslims not being daunted by no for a decade, kept it to the forefront. The argument that the Navy or the armed forces that used that there were no numbers was defeated as evidenced by personnel in First Gulf War.
But so, after the First Gulf War, what, I mean, maybe not a substantial, but was there an increase of the number of Muslims in the Navy after the First Gulf War?
I won't say there was an increase. I would say that Muslims were proud of their Islam, that they were overt in their practice, that they stepped forward and were now doing more dawah. Mechanisms like ISNA, like the American Muslim Council. There's a brother named Qasim Ala-Ukti, who's a Marine Corps gunnery sergeant.
Right.
These were all vehicles that kept grinding that wheel until in 1993, December, they commissioned Abdul Rashid.
Right.
November 93, I was selected as a Muslim candidate for the United States Navy and received my credentials in August of 1996.
Now, the insignia which you wear is quite unique. I mean, did that come also with the position?
It did.
Okay, and did you have some input in developing that?
I did not, but the United States is a country of symbols.
Yes.
And so for each corps, specific to the chaplain's corps, we have insignia that identify us. Christians wear a cross. Our Jewish brothers wear the Ten Commandments and Star of David, and the imams wear the crescent.
But let me ask you, among your Navy cohorts, was there any resentment to the insignia?
There may have been, but man plans and Allah plans.
Right.
And the best of planners is Allah.
Alhamdulillah. But let me ask you about the facilities that the Navy provides for Muslims. I mean, are they the same as, like, I know in every base you go on, you can find a church. So is that the case now for the Navy and Muslims? You can find
there
a masjid,
are accommodations
a mosque?
that are now in place. Places like Norfolk, Virginia, where I first started, we actually have a musalla. Equal to and better than perhaps anything that the Christians have. It's a very traditional place. It has a lot of history. But we have a musalla there that the command went all out for. We had full support, and I think for the people, not just in the military, the U.S. military, but for international forces that have gone through there, it is very much appreciated and respected.
Right. And let me ask you now, the world we live in today is very complicated, you know, and there are Muslims in the Navy. I'm sure that you have to counsel them. I'm sure they have feelings they want to discuss with you. Do you think that, do you find that Muslims in the Navy, sometimes they have, even though in the military you can't express your disapproval with policies of the government, but do you see sometimes they feel some disagreement with some of the policies internationally?
I think every soul has challenge, and we have to be responsible both to the oaths that we've taken with the military, but more importantly, the oath that we've taken to Allah, to speak to that and try to help people work through the challenges and the difficulties. The military is not for everyone.